Hi, it's almost the end of the year, and you're probably thinking about starting a small business in 2026. You're probably searching up a bunch of tutorials online and feeling both inspired and anxious about starting your own shop. I've been there and understand how you feel. From feeling discouraged about not having any sales in my first shop update to feeling uncomfortable making stickers and marketing my products, there are many moments of stepping out of my comfort zone and facing frustration. This year, I started taking my business a little more seriously since I graduated uni and started a full-time job. I am pretty proud of the pace my sticker shop is at right now, so while I pack some orders today, I wanted to take some time to share my journey and reflect on what I learned. Please keep in mind I am not an expert and I don't have the most successful shop out there, but I hope to share what worked and what didn't work for me so you don't have to make the same mistakes I did. And to give you a little background, my art account will be 4 years old in 2026. I started it back in January 2022. Studio Normally was actually launched by my friend and I, and she helped me with the social media stuff at the beginning. Honestly, I haven't really been an active Instagram user before this. We had this idea of starting a stationery shop, which is why we originally went with the name Memory Store. We mostly posted art twice a week, participated in a lot of DTIYS challenges, and jumped on art trends to get noticed. After a couple of months, I dove into researching how to make stickers, bought all the supplies, and we launched our shop in May, and it completely flopped. I didn't do another shop update until a year later. Since then, I've launched many more shop updates, took a lot of breaks to focus on uni, and now I've even started a monthly club. It's been quite a journey for my small business. One of the biggest problems I had when I started was that I was too focused on making art. While making art was a great thing, I couldn't create enough art to post consistently and frequently enough, which is what social media rewarded. I also struggled to understand how to sell my products. Because I spent so much of my time drawing, I wasn't putting my energy into researching sticker making, art prints, or understand how I can create different products. Making sticker sheets was a huge struggle for me in the beginning. These 4 sticker sheets that I originally created took me almost 2 months to design, but because I put so much of my focus into making art to post to Instagram, I didn't have enough time to create new products, and so I didn't have another shop update for the rest of the year. It took another 12 months for me to decide that I wanted consistent shop updates and to start putting in the effort to make more product. When I focused on mostly creating art in the beginning, I was also targeting the wrong niche. I was making cute art, but the community I gained in were people who enjoyed seeing the art, but I was not building a community of sticker collectors or people who journaled or scrapbook and might actually buy my stickers. So people weren't interested in buying my creations because it wasn't what they followed me for. Over time, I had to eventually try and pivot which audiences I want to target so that I can find the right people to sell to. Another advice that you'll probably hear on social media is to stop focusing on perfection and aim to be good enough. I would say I completely agree with that statement. It's not because you shouldn't put any effort into what you create. Instead, I think it's a gentle reminder that you shouldn't nitpick at your own flaws. You're going to feel cringy and you're going to feel what you're doing isn't good enough. I still do, but what's important is that you're showing up. If you're planning to post once a week, post it. If you're planning to upload 3 reels a week, do it, because social media rewards consistency. So what I do is I think of it as another checklist to check off instead of focusing on what people will think when I upload something. Eventually, as you get into the rhythm of posting more consistently, even if you feel cringe or inadequate, it'll feel like another to-do list. Gaining that consistency is also what helps you grow and then once you start becoming more comfortable with the process, that's when you can start adding more complex steps and tweaking it to make it feel more you. To get to that, start small and be consistent. To be consistent, I've also started developing a checklist and schedule to make sure I'm meeting my goals. For example, I have a goal of posting at least 3 times a week. My schedule each week is to plan, record, and schedule content ahead of time. To make it easier for me, I try to assign each week to a topic. So one week would be based on my monthly club, so I'll have a carousel detailing the month's theme, then a reel showing a pack with me with text saying, POV, you joined my monthly club, and then a reel customizing my desktop with my digital goodies. And then for the following week, I can create content about how to run a small business, or if you're new, how you're starting your small business. I like to keep all of my ideas on a Google Doc and then batch create the content. Once I've created the content, I will schedule the posts on Instagram and TikTok. The reason why I like to schedule my content is that I won't hesitate before I post. If you're like me and want to back out at the last second, I think scheduling is a good strategy to prevent that. I also set an alarm so I know when to check if the post has been published and repost the content to my story when it goes live. This system has helped me avoid doom scrolling on social media and made sure I am ahead of my schedule, especially since I also juggle a full-time job. One thing I'm grateful for to myself when starting was not creating a logo or brand for my shop. My friend has also told me to avoid using we, which feels more businessy and professional. This way, I still feel like I'm a real person running my shop instead of a business. And by not feeling like a business, I took off the pressure of trying to be perfect and I let myself make mistakes. And you need mistakes to grow. The truth is, you're not going to be the same business when you're starting out versus when you're 3 years in. You're going to find out what works for you and what doesn't, and you'll need to give yourself the room to grow and experiment. I think starting out with a logo and complete branding can hold you back from growing. It'll make you feel like you need to stay on theme with what you started with, and that can prevent you from exploring outside of your comfort zone. It can potentially limit what you want because you will feel forced to stay structured. For example, I started out with a different art style than I have now. My art style has changed at least 3 times in the past 3 years, and I'm always growing and making my creations better. Even though my current art style is more detailed than what I started with, I feel so much more comfortable and have an easier time drawing than before. And looking back, this summer, when I was changing my name from Memory Store to Studio Memory, I felt stunted. I was worried if people wouldn't recognize me or that my new name does not represent me anymore. But changing the name made me feel really happy. I love how the new name sounds and I felt that it was more artsy and represented what I was creating more. I didn't want to mold my interests and identity to match a label. I wanted to make sure my creations and identity speaks to the audience in their own way. And eventually you'll find what represents you rather than trying to force yourself into a box. And because you're human, you also need to accept you're going to fail. So make sure to give yourself the grace to make mistakes and be okay with it. I forgot who said this, but I saw a stat that mentioned that most businesses fail within their first year.
And at least I did.
My shop launch wasn't successful, and while it felt disappointing, I eventually focused on what worked and what didn't work for me and came back and improved. Failure is a part of running a small business, and not everything goes according to plan. There's so many external factors that you can't control. The only thing you can control is yourself. Take some time to unwind and do something that makes you happy when you face those failures. Then come back and continue going. Don't give up. In my second year, I had to start posting for almost a year to focus on my studies, internship, and the job search. At that time, I felt that I had given up on my dreams and it was really difficult to let go of my social media. I got a job and graduated from uni and came back feeling more lost than ever. Instead of focusing on the things I could have or should have done, I created a plan and focused on what I can do to keep going. While I didn't go viral, I'm happy that I've been able to get back into the same momentum I did before I took a break. Failure was an opportunity to improve and keep going, so don't let it stop you. One of the most important things about social media is that watching the number of likes and follows becomes addicting. It feels so validating watching the numbers grow, but it can also feel so personal when the numbers drop. And focusing on those numbers can be really bad for your mental health. When I started, I couldn't help but compare myself to all the artists with 20 or 30,000 followers and wish that I can go viral and get as many too. But the truth is, there's no personal reason why a person could or cannot support you. And what changed my mindset was seeing someone with a small following have a really great community, a large variety of products, and people who came back to continually support them. It made me realize, what will 30K satisfy for me? There's nothing more special about 30,000 followers than 1,000 followers, when at the end of the day, I want to make a living from doing what I loved. And a great following wouldn't be able to do that for me. Now, instead of basing my value based on the numbers I get from social media, I want to put more focus on making cute stickers and expanding my product lines because my goal is to be an artist. Well, I'm really lucky and grateful that my friends were super nice and made sure to like my posts whenever they could. I didn't let my friends buy stickers from me. If they wanted to buy stickers from me, I gave it to them for free. I know not everyone has the supportive friends that I do, but I want to assure you that it's not a bad thing. The hard truth is, not all of my friends are into cute art, stickers, or journaling. If they bought from me, I knew that deep down they were doing it for the sake of our friendship, but they wouldn't necessarily use or enjoy my creations. I think I would feel more sad knowing that they bought my stickers and they got thrown out or collects dust in the corner. It would also make me feel that I owe them because I've let a monetary transaction come between our friendship because they bought something from me. I also felt that it was really important that the sales came from people who genuinely liked my work with stickers. It helps to know that I actually have an audience or a group of people who like my work rather than feeling obligated to support because of our friendship. At least I know that for me, if that happens, it will actually skew my perception of my products because I feel that it was a pity purchase. Removing that expectation also makes sure I don't feel any sort of negativity for my friends. I truly understand that it's not their cup of tea and if they couldn't keep up with liking all my posts or fail to support in any way, that's okay. At least at the end of the day, they're still my friends and my small business doesn't dictate where our friendship goes. If you're an artist starting out, you're probably thinking, why should I do social media if I want to be an artist? Why should I market my work? I also had the same mindset starting out, but over time, even if there were moments of frustration at the algorithm, I've also accepted that it's a really crucial part of my small business. Running a social media has opened me to a lovely community that I wouldn't have had before. By participating in trends, DTIYS, Draw This in Your Style, or art prompts and challenges, I was able to find new artists that I love and admire. In return, people all over the world were able to find my art and support me, leaving kind messages that bring me so much joy. The current algorithm on Instagram favors informative guides such as how to make guides or shortcuts you didn't know about. I also love seeing creators share their growth and their little steps in their journey through Reel series. Without these trends, I would have felt more alone in my journey. But knowing that other artists out there are also doing their best makes me feel a sense of camaraderie. By sharing these types of contents mentioned, you are not just sharing your creations, you're sharing your personal creative journey, and people are more likely to resonate with your struggles and your success. There will be people who find you and love your work, and also people who genuinely want to see you succeed. It also helps put a face to the business so that they know who you are other than the business that you are putting out there. So that way they know that they're not just buying from a business, they're buying from a person who put their heart into the work that they're creating. Inspiration played a big part in my art style growth and growth on social media. And I also need to say this, but when I say inspiration, I do not mean directly copying someone's artworks or their creations, but I find it very important to take some time to study what other artists do. This is applicable to both art style and social media. For example, my art style is accumulation of all the things I admire. I love the look of the gaps in between the lines and the disconnects of the line art made the artwork look more soft and flowy, so it was a change I added to mine. I also loved how some artists use circles and blobs to shade, and eventually I also started shading like that. Sometimes I also like to add different types of texture to my artwork because I was inspired by an artist. In exchange, I also know that my line art has to be very clean and neat, so I refuse to budge from that and change that style. Overall, I would say my style is a collective of the things I see and love. This also brings me back to lesson number 8. Be inspired by the type of content other artists are creating. Are you only posting art? Do you like making comic strips? Do you want to share guides? What about packing videos? When I used to focus on only posting art, it can feel pretty limiting and feel like I'm always playing catch up with the algorithm. I also felt like I didn't know what to post besides my art. But I think scrolling on social media with a intention of collecting inspiration idea can be helpful in curating your own style and collection of ideas to post. That way you're not just posting art, but you're sharing a variety of content ideas that is both inspired by other artists and your own stories. While being inspired by others is important, it's also important to not compare your success with theirs because comparison is a thief of joy. See your own success, no matter how small as it may feel, as individual successes without comparing it. Everyone is on their own journey. The artist you're comparing yourself to might have 3 more years of experience than you do. And on social media, we only see the more successful side of starting a small business because it's what people like to see. People won't share the moments where they work late hours in the night or have to work on their vacation. But as long as you're consistent and you keep going at your own pace, you will see the success and keep track of it. I like to have a little journal and write in it each time I'm really proud of my progress. And a year from now, I like to look back and think that I can't believe I did that, or that something that I used to be so excited about feels so normal for me now. Each year, I actually write a letter to myself, and at the end of each year when I open it, it makes me realize how much I've grown and how much my goals have changed from the beginning of the year. And these letters are what makes my grass a little greener. Alright, those were all the tips that I have for you today, and I hope that they were a little helpful and can inspire you to start your own small business. I would also love to share more tutorials and advice on my YouTube channel, so I'm creating a Google form for you to fill out, and you can submit any questions or tutorials that you'd like to see from me, and I will do my best to create them in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.